Hi, I'm Cinsy. Welcome to my YouTube video. So for this video, I know I've already covered wet sticks previously in my How to Make More Plants 2, but I thought I would do another one, a more detailed video just focusing on wet sticks to help you successfully grow your wet sticks and make more. Okay, let's get started. Before I start, I just want to show you an update on my plant corner. So last night I kind of started switching things around, and since it is springtime and I didn't really want to have my rehab boxes throughout the year, it was mainly a winter and autumn situation. So I've brought my rehab boxes out, taken all my plants out, and have finally displayed them properly in my corner. It's just so nice to actually display my plants properly rather than have them stuck inside a box, because let's be honest, the rehab boxes are not a sight to see, it's just for practicality. So yeah, I'm just kind of using my rehab box as a table now, because originally this table was meant to be for all of my planty videos. So I kind of went crazy and bought loads of new pots for my plants. So I'm just trying to make my table work and have the display looking nice. So yeah, I think I'm probably just going to move things around constantly until I find that it's perfect. But look how amazing this bowl is on my right. It's just so beautiful. I'm so in love with it. So I have a few plants that I want to cut up today to make wet sticks, and I also have some examples of wet sticks already that I can show you. But before we start, there are a few things that you need first, and that is clean scissors, emphasis on clean. You can also use cinnamon if you want to just kind of be extra careful, and then you'll want your choice of substrate for your wet sticks. So I have perlite. If you're using perlite, make sure you wash them first because it gets very dusty. And I'm also going to be using sphagnum moss, which is just in this box here. So I have these two philodendrons that both have extra nodes that I can turn into wet sticks. These are actually both from my mini haul that I did, and there's actually so much growth and development since I've had them, and I've had them for a month now since I received them. So they've really grown and really have settled in. This Soderoy, also I'm actually not sure if this Soderoy is a Soderini, which are the mini ones, or a classic Soderoy which climbs and gets bigger. I know this one specifically climbs from the mother plant that I've previously seen from the cellar. However, the leaves stayed quite short. So I'm not sure if this is Soderini or a philodendron Soderoy. I'm hoping it's a Soderoy. This plant was sold to me as a Soderoy cross ornatum, which actually doesn't exist. So I'm just going to grow her and see what she turns into, basically. So let me know in the comments if you do have an inkling of what this is, because I would definitely be interested to know. I am really hoping that it is a Soderoy though. So this white princess with actual pink variegation. So this is the second new growth in my care from having it now in a month. And this is its first leaf that it already was growing when I got her. But she's so big, I really expected her to be a much smaller leaf, especially when she's just been cut and had to regrow her roots. They both have secondary nodes that I want to cut and grow into another plant. So yes, so I can see clearly that the white princess has some amazing roots going, and I can see some tiny roots here with the Soderoy, but I'm not sure how it's looking. So let's start with the Soderoy because I'm most excited about the white princess. It's gonna get messy with all of the moss, so I think I'm gonna put it at the top of this lid actually. Let's just put this down here. Okay, let's see how the roots are looking. So when she arrived, I've just kind of left her to it to grow her roots. I didn't want to disturb her too much because of the shipping, and obviously she was recently cut, so I just didn't want to disturb her too much and just left her in my IKEA greenhouse. But what I did do is I just cut the edges at the bottom of the cups, so I can water them thoroughly at the top or bottom water them. And the water can still get out, so it's not accumulating. So yeah, that is a good trick. It's good for bottom watering as well, especially if you do have sphagnum moss in it, because it would soak up the water in time. Nice and easy. These roots are these are not juicy roots. They're very delicate roots. And I actually can't tell what is moss and what's root. Oh, that's a nice big root there. Okay. You know what? I can understand why everyone wants to move to Pon or Leka, because it is just so much less mess. So I can understand, but I just haven't made the move yet. And honestly, I don't know if I will. We have amazing roots at the bottom nodes here. Almost all the aerial roots have grown amazing roots, and secondary roots too, which is a really good sign, especially in just a month or so. So we have a node at the bottom here with loads of roots, which is also where the old leaf has grown from. And we also have the top node here where we've got one long strand of root with secondary roots too, which is amazing. And my new leaf has also grown from, and it's just finished, well, it's just about unfurling. So I am going to make the cut in the middle here to create a second plant. So then this new growth will continue growing from this node here, and then hopefully I'll get a new shoot from the same bottom node. It's always a bit of a scary thing to do, but then you kind of think, well, you'll make two plants, so then that fear kind of goes over. But also it's quite sad to have to cut your plant. Okay, so the one tip that I will say when you're cutting your nodes is to try and leave an even amount between your nodes, so that should there be any rot, you have enough space on both of your wet sticks to cut off as much rot as you can. So I am going to cut at a slight angle in the middle as much as I can. I think that's about the middle. Done. Okay, so this one's already got roots already, which is amazing, because then it means that it can start growing, and hopefully the other aerial roots will start developing into proper roots. And this one already has an amazing set of roots, so I'm not worried about this either, because it has loads of roots to continue its growth. So I'm just going to put them back into its original pot that they came in, since there's definitely enough room for the both of them. So since my top cutting has its open wound at the bottom, before I put it back into the moss, I'm going to dab the open wound into some cinnamon, because it is a preventative for any diseases, especially fungus, and it also helps the cutting encourage new growth. So I'm just going to dab the bottom of my cutting where I've just cut her into the cinnamon, just like that, and just gently place her back into the moss. So I'm just going to leave that aside. I'm actually really excited about taking the Pink Princess out and having a good look at her roots, because they are looking really juicy, and I love it when the roots are that fluffy. I think they just look so good. So yes, I'm excited about taking this out. I haven't actually taken her out of this pot since receiving her, probably like literally once or twice. I haven't really I really didn't want to disturb her because I just wanted to promote as much growth and just leave her to develop as fast as possible, and to do that is to not irritate them so much, which I must say, it's very hard to resist. Okay, right, I'm just going to start taking the tops of the moss out. Oh, I see roots, really, I see loads of roots. Okay. And I can actually see a growth point here, which is really good, because then it means that I know that for sure it will grow. Yeah, because there's that growth point there, I know that it's going to grow. So I have decided I'm going to make the cut, because I would not mind another one of these, right? Okay, so I'm going to make the cut around here, so if there is any rot, hopefully I can save it and I won't lose my pink leaf either. I'm not ready. Woo! Okay. The great thing is now that this wet stick already has loads of roots, so it's going to be so easy for it to just start working on its growth point rather than having to focus on its roots. So yes, okay, I'm going to leave that to rest just on the side there, and this one I'm going to put back. Okay, so there are two safety precautions that you can do to avoid rot. You can dab the open wound in cinnamon, like I showed you before, or you can also wait for the open wound to callus over, and then you can dab the bottom of the stem into candle wax, preferably soy candle wax. So it basically seals the bottom of your stem to avoid rot. But I think I'm going to go with the cinnamon option on this, just because I have it with me at hand. I have done the candle wax option as well, and it does work. Actually, I believe when Emma sent me, yes, so when Emma sent me the this cutting, she actually did candle wax the bottom as well, and it has clearly worked because it's not rotted since I have had it. But I'm going to use cinnamon anyway, just because I have it here already. And just gently place it back into its pot. I like to put the roots at the edge of the cup so that I can keep an eye on the roots and watch it grow. So I'm just going to leave the wet stick here, and I'm going to let the open wound callus over, and I think I will actually do the wax situation just to and I actually will wax the end of the wet stick just to show an example, just to show how I do it anyway, so that you can see. So now you've made your wet sticks, there are a few things that you can do to make sure that it is successfully growing. The one thing you do need to be aware of is wet sticks are a risky move. It's not 100% that the wet sticks will grow, but there are definitely some precautions that you can take that will help your wet stick to grow. Although these are technically not classed as wet sticks because they do have growth and roots and leaves, they're more like cuttings, but I would keep them in the same environment that I do with wet sticks. So I would either have them in moss or perlite. That's my preferable substrate, just because I have had really good success rates with them. If you're using moss, I would first of all make sure that it is moist, not wet, not soaking, not dry, moist. Moist enough to touch where you know that, it's slightly damp, and I wouldn't really give it a full watering. I would literally just get my spray bottle and just spray the top slightly so that it is moist and it will go down to the roots, just so that it's not too much for the roots or your wet stick. It's moist enough to take in some water but not enough to cause rot. Next, I would make sure that they are in a warm environment. So I keep them in my soccer greenhouse, or previously my rehab boxes, and make sure that the environment, the temperature of the environment doesn't fluctuate too much, because when the temperature is kind of just all over the place, it will struggle to really focus on pushing out new growth or pushing out new roots. It will just try and survive the up and down of the temperature. So you want to try and keep it as warm as possible to help it grow. Lastly, the other thing that I would really recommend as well is to make sure that there is good air circulation. This is with all plants generally, to make sure that it does grow well and you do avoid getting fungus in your soil or just in your plants. So for example, I keep my current wet sticks in this little takeaway box here, and it's really good because I have it on the floor. It's got a lid that lets light in, and also I have it on the floor because of my underfloor heating. So it's definitely keeping warm, and it's literally incubating in here. But I do make sure to lift the lid to give it good air circulation and make sure that the wet sticks are okay, because when you don't bring good air circulation, it will just bring rot and fungus and just all the nasty stuff. It will start to smell. It's just not going to be good for your wet sticks. So yeah, I do make sure to air this out and just take the lid off for a while every time, at least once a day. So yes, it's good to keep them in a compact area, but make sure that you do bring good air circulation. In terms of light, I actually don't know whether wet sticks really do need light or not to help with its growth, but I don't usually keep them in the dark. However, I don't always have them in bright lights either, so I think that's definitely an experiment to try. I imagine that once there is a growth point forming, that it is more important to have light for the wet stick to start pushing out the growth. But yeah, in terms of that, I don't fully know, because I have these wet sticks on my floor, which is quite far away from my grow lights. So yeah, and these are all growing. Actually, I'll show you all of my wet sticks, but for now I'll show you, but right now I'll show you these. So I've put these in here temporarily because I had them in perlite, but I started finding bugs in them, and I don't know what bugs they are. They could just be general house bugs, but I did panic, so I just switched it out, washed all my and I just washed all of my and I just washed all the wet sticks and just kind of put them in moss for now until I can deal with the perlite situation. So I've put Kiki paste on this, which is actually going to be a video coming soon, but I'm just waiting for like updates, and I'm gonna just kind of film its update basically, but you can get a sneak peek of what I've been doing. So yes, this is my Gloriosum wet stick. I'm actually really excited about this. This has actually grown so much with the Kiki paste. It's really nice to actually see proper growth point coming out, because it's been sitting kind of stagnant for a long time. It did start pushing out a lot more of a growth point once I did put it in perlite, and actually I think I find perlite propagation a lot more successful and faster for me than sphagnum moss, but I will say sphagnum moss is probably safer for the majority people. This is my Gloriosum wet stick. There is good a nice growth point coming out. So that's my Gloriosum wet stick, and I actually think I will put it back in perlite just because the growth rate was a lot faster, and I just saw more change. So I think it's a safer option just to put it in perlite. I'm not going to put it in this one. I will put it in another one just because I want to put it in a more shallower pot. But yeah, I'll do that at some point. And then these two. Okay, so these two are both the same. These are Philodendron Golden Dragon wet sticks. So Emma, who I bought this lovely white princess from, she found a golden dragon plant in her local garden centre for £5, and apparently it was sitting there for quite a while, and I just don't understand how no one would want a golden dragon, because I was looking for one for so long. Like, it just took me so long. I have, let me show you just now, I have one of them sitting in perlite just here. The leaves were just growing all over the place because it was just clearly not looked after, and now it's just kind of stuck in this awkward position. But this, look at this leaf shape. It's literally, I just love how dragon shaped it is. I'm hoping once it starts growing that we'll get a lot more variegation, but I will keep you updated and we'll see how this goes. As far as I'm aware, this is the thing, I don't like taking the stems out of perlite because it is such a hassle to take it out and put it back in, because perlite gets messy and very sticky when it's wet. So yeah, I just haven't taken it out yet, but as far as I'm aware, I don't think there is any roots on this so far. But I haven't had her that long, maybe like 2-3 weeks, so I'm not so yeah, I'm not expecting anything just yet, but I'm just keeping her out. I love her. I honestly can't wait for more leaf shapes like this. I love it. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can definitely make more with these wet sticks, and I believe this wet stick already had a growth point coming out, but it kind of dried up. So again, I've put Kiki paste on it, and I'm just going to kind of see what kind of changes it will make. So far, nothing yet from what I can see. So I'm just going to leave it and see what comes from it. Again, this is the same. This growth point actually wasn't here. I think I found a little nub, but nothing near as big as this. So this is really exciting. But yeah, you can see how like twisted this whole stem is. You can just see how badly the golden dragon was growing. So, and I was wondering if maybe there's a growth point here. I just don't understand the growth of this wet stick, so I've just kind of left it, and yeah, and just kind of, I'm just gonna see how it goes. I'll move that away, just set that aside. I also have this Monstera, variegated Monstera wet stick that I have been rooting for a very long time. But basically it had a lot of roots when I made the chop of this wet stick, so I actually planted it straight into soil, but I don't think the soil mix was airy enough for it to continue growing. So when I took it out of the soil to check up on it, I actually found that there was a lot of rot in the roots. So I pulled back all of the roots, and you can see like this is just layers and layers of thick root just poured down to like literally, like, it's basically like the bone of the roots, which literally now just won't even, like, it doesn't work as a root. I actually might as well cut it off. But yeah, so when your roots are stripped down to like thin bones, basically, it won't work as a root, and it's actually essentially dead. So really I should cut it off. So yeah, it's been a slow process for this, just because it has had to recover from rot, but it is growing a lot, and as you see, there is Kiki paste on the growth point, so I'm hoping we'll see a lot more faster growth very soon. So I'm just going to put it in here just to keep it warm, and so they're all just together. It's a lot easier. Actually, there is something that I want to talk about regarding wet sticks, and it has been such an emotional roller coaster for me that I just feel like I need to express it in this video. As I've said before, cutting wet sticks, and especially buying wet sticks, is never 100% guarantee. That is something you should always keep in mind, especially when you're buying rarer plants like me over here. I recently bought 2 wet sticks. It was a Thai constellation and a strawberry shake, and they literally rotted in a week. And as soon as I found the rot, my heart just dropped. This was definitely my first big purchase of a treat yourself rare plant, which I'm sure I would do again because these are my wish list plants. To have both of them rot at the same time as well, and these were both like definitely my biggest purchases that I have made on a plant. And the thing is, I actually like waited a long period of time to really educate myself on growing wet sticks, making sure that the environment is correct, that the substrate I'm using is right. I've used different techniques to really understand and know what the best option is for wet sticks to grow. Obviously all plants are different, but I've tried it on various different wet sticks. I mean, all of my wet sticks that I've previously gotten or made myself have all been successful. Slow, I can definitely say that, but successful, apart from maybe one philodendron pink princess that I tried and rotted because it was like new to me, but I've been really successful. So when I bought these two wet sticks from someone that I've known for quite a long time, have met and used to speak to on a regular basis, and someone who sells her plants now literally for a living, when I told her that the wet sticks were rotten, there was literally like no responsibility taken. And the thing is, I understand that wet sticks are never 100% guaranteed. Like, it is all on the wet stick and your environment. But the fact that I've perfected this, and which is the reason why I'm making this video, and I literally had them in the same environment as all my other wet sticks, and it was in my rehab boxes as well to give it extra warmth and extra humidity. And the fact that they just rotted in a week, I just felt like that I was just in my head about this, and I was umming and ahhing whether to message her, because I was like, is it me? Like, did I do this in a space of 1 week? And then when you put it in perspective, and when I spoke to my friend Emma about it, I just kind of realised like, well, no, this could not have been me. I've given it the exact environment as all my other successful wet sticks, which are obviously growing, as you can see, and to have it rot within a week, it's just a very drastic change, and it's not something, and I don't even think it was, I actually don't deal with rot that much, so I don't know how quick rot takes. I've literally got PTSD from this, but the only way I can explain it was the nodes were really cut close. Let me try and paint a picture of the wet sticks for you. The Thai constellation had a very long aerial root, and it was healthy and it looked great. The wet stick itself was about this big, it was about this big, it was quite a chunky stick. It had a really healthy aerial root, but the node and the growth points were cut so tightly close that if and when it did rot, I couldn't even save it because it was already so close to the growth points that I couldn't even do anything about it. And I'm not saying that you can't cut it that close. I just think if you are selling, I just think if you are selling wet sticks, give a girl a fucking chance. I understand these are rare plants, so they can't be sold for like £20 or whatnot. But when they are wet sticks and so tightly close, it's like, I literally felt like, it's literally laughable. She sent me pictures and videos. The Monstera, I actually received the pictures afterwards, so I wish I had known. But the Strawberry Shake was a video, and now looking back at the video, I realise now that all the roots were rotten, so they were not healthy roots. So yeah, she did send me pictures, and I was aware. I just think, because I hadn't dealt with rot that much, I was obviously not looking out specifically at the roots. I was looking at the wet stick itself, which I will say they did come, I believe they came quite healthy. I I couldn't tell if the strawberry shake was a little bit soft or not. I think I was just so excited at the time that I actually finally got one that I kind of was overthinking it, and I just kind of was also in overthinking it and then also in denial, so I just ignored that slightly. Now knowing about root rot more, I realise now that this seller should have told me that the roots were not in good condition, that it had been dealing with rot. So yeah, and I think if I had have known, I definitely would not have bought the wet sticks. From what I remember, I don't think the Thai constellation was problematic, and it looked like there was any issues at first glance. But obviously when shit hit the fan and I did message the seller about everything, it was literally like, I just felt like all the blame was pushed on me. It was like, oh, you should have messaged me, I would have helped you, there's nothing I can do. I can't even remember what she wrote, and I literally don't even want to read back at it. It just really felt like I was belittled because it was like I was clueless or like just a noob in plants. And yeah, and she just literally like, yeah, all the blame was put on me basically. If there was some kind of swap or partial refund, I definitely would have been a lot more happier, especially because I've had these 2 wet sticks in my possession for 1 week. It's not like it was something that I had caused within a month. I just feel like a week of owning it is kind of... A week of owning it and having full rot, it's just really... It just feels somewhat like it was out of my control, because I literally gave it the perfect environment and I really helped it. And I actually also used hydrogen peroxide to try and get rid of the rot that it had. But yeah, no, it just... what it literally felt like was, so sorry that happened to you. You probably should have done this and you could have messaged me, and this is all on you. Thanks for my money. That's literally what it felt like to me. I should have red flagged that the fact that the wet sticks were cut so close to the growth points and the nodes. I would never ever buy a wet stick or cut my wet sticks like that ever again. So that's my mistake. I guess all I can say that it's a learning curve, and the reason why I wanted to do this video is because I was umming and ahhing about it for a while whether to talk about this situation, but I think it's really important for people who are even more clueless than me, that trust these sellers who always post messages from people who have really successful plants. So you think that there are good reviews and that they know what they're doing with their plants. I've been umming and ahhing on whether to call her out and say her name and write on the Facebook groups, which I won't do, just because she is a respected seller. So I just think people won't believe me, or I don't know, I think PlantDrama is like, I think just plant community can get quite intense and create all this plant drama that I just don't care or need. I just felt like it was especially dealt with really badly. So yeah, let's just say her name rhymes with bitchy. But the reason why I did want to mention this in this care video is because it is really important to look out for things like this, like looking out for really tiny roots that have dried up from rot, which is like the bone of the root, or that the wet sticks were cut really close. And yeah, and I do think that sellers should give some kind of outcome that's helpful. Like, it's not just about the money. And this is what pisses me off as well, is that I got into plants and really, really fell in love with the plant community and have made friends in the plant community because plants is just a happy thing that you all love and want to share and watch grow. But when there's drama involved and like people are just doing it to make money, that to me is fucking crazy, because it's just Plants are meant to be a positive thing. That's it. Like, it's not a way to just scam people or just become like cliquey and shut people out when you all like the same thing. So to me, that is insane, and clearly I will be careful of who I buy from next time and where I spend my money. But honestly, like, plants are meant to be a good and happy thing. So for me to have to speak about this, it's just a bit fucked up, honestly. Okay, ran over. It's a learning curve for me, and it's just something that I wanted to mention in a video and have it at least somewhere, just so that I can try and help people to try to avoid situations like me, because let me tell you, it sucks. But anyway, to end on a better note, the wet stick has now calloused over after all of my ranting. So I can now put candle wax on it, which I have had burning throughout this video, ready for the end. Hello Kitty as well, of course. So yes, thank you, Freya. So yeah, let's blow that out. Just wait for that to cool down slightly. So all I'm going to do, I've actually taken off the wax at the bottom of this, but I think I might try and dab some new wax on there, which I think might be difficult because of the roots. But we'll do the top first. Just trying to get hold of all the roots so I'm not going to get wax on them, and just place it in, and just kind of place it in gently. I'm trying to do it so you can see it in the camera. Do one more. Oh, this is a really nice raspberry kind of smell. It's the first time I've lit this since receiving it, and it smells amazing. And I just want to try and get the bottom end as well. I just feel like I'm literally asking for the roots to get... Oh, let's try. Oh, not too bad actually. I think that was quite good. So just blow that. Oh my god, it actually smells like raspberry as well. As a princess should, no? Hopefully you can see, hopefully you can just see just there that the growth point is unharmed, unwaxed, and hopefully will grow sometime soon. So I will definitely post some updates, and I'm just going to leave, I think I'll leave her there for now to make sure she's fully dry. So that's it for this week's video. Thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something about wet sticks. If I missed anything or if you have any questions, please write them in the comments below and I will definitely try and help you. And I hope it didn't get as emotional for you as it did for me last week. But I hope this helps regardless. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.